Reckon we could turn him into a cat?
Course not.
That's right. Because nature made him into a dog. Just the same way nature made you into a girl. Here lately, she's getting more and more positive about it.
You mean my ears is growing?
No, nothing like that. You're pretty.
Oh, Paul.
I know you don't like it when I say that, but you like it when the young fellas around here come in saying it, and they will. Only they'll probably be using words, fancy words I won't even understand.
The Beverly Hillbillies was one of the most watched sitcoms in television history, regularly drawing upwards of 60 million viewers a week at its peak. Central to that success was Elly May Clampett, played with easy, unforced charm by Louisiana native Donna Douglas. She was one of those rare performers who seemed to barely be acting at all, and that was largely because the role mirrored her own life in ways most people never realized. She passed away New Year's Day in 2015, but more than 10 years later, the truth about who Donna Douglas really was is still coming out. Before we get into it, tell us in the comments below, were you a Beverly Hillbillies fan growing up, and who was your favorite character in the show? A Louisiana girl through and through.
What'd you climb up here for?
To cut a fork for that new store-bought slingshot she brought me.
Did she bring you a slingshot?
Fanciest thing you ever did see. Look at that.
A store-bought, lace-trimmed, double-barrel slingshot.
Ain't it a doozy? I don't know how good I can aim it, but it'll sure throw a heap of rocks.
Donna Douglas was born Doris Ione Smith, September 26, 1932, in the small community of Pride, Louisiana. Her father worked most of his life for Standard Oil, and her mother had been a telephone operator before raising her family. She was the younger of two children and the only daughter in the household. She grew up a self-described tomboy, spending her days swinging from vines, playing softball and basketball, and running around with her older brother and all-male cousins. She said later in life she'd been getting ready to play Elly May Clampett long before the show was even a thought in anyone's mind. She married young, at just 17, to a man named Roland Bourgeois Jr. The couple lived with her parents throughout the marriage and had a son named Danny in 1954, the same year the marriage ended in divorce. With her son cared for by her Louisiana family, she began thinking about a bigger life. Before she ever left the South, she competed in local beauty pageants under the name Dot Bourgeois, winning Miss Cinderella in 1955, followed by Miss Baton Rouge, and eventually Miss New Orleans in 1957. Those titles gave her the platform and confidence she needed to take her shot in New York City, making it in New York.
Jamesy, I can't get the ice out. I just can't get the ice out.
The baster.
Baster?
The one we used last Sunday when we roasted the turkey.
Oh.
That's the jigger. It's in the top drawer on the right-hand side. Fill it full of hot water and squirt it on the ashtray.
Oh.
Douglas arrived in New York with little more than ambition and started out doing illustration modeling for toothpaste advertisements. It was modest work, but she was persistent. In 1957, she landed a spot as the Letters Girl on NBC's Perry Como show, then picked up regular appearances on The Steve Allen Show. New York photographers and journalists eventually awarded her the Miss Byline title, which she wore on The Ed Sullivan Show. That Sullivan appearance turned out to be the break she'd been working toward. Producer Hal B. Wallace caught the broadcast and signed her to a film contract. Her first real film role came in Career, a 1959 Hollywood drama starring Dean Martin, Shirley MacLaine, and Anthony Franciosa. Smaller parts followed, including a bit in Lil Abner and a supporting role in the Rock Hudson and Doris Day romantic comedy Lover Come Back. She studied acting seriously during this period, first with the legendary Lee Strasberg at the Actors Studio in New York, and then with acting coach Jeff Corey after she relocated to Hollywood. Television guest spots began stacking up, including appearances on The Twilight Zone and Boris Karloff's anthology series Thriller. She was building her career steadily, collecting experience and waiting for the right opportunity. It came in 1962. The role of a lifetime.
So I was put in the hospital for 17 days. And so all I could think of, oh dear God, if I got a chance to, that part, just please let me get out of this hospital. So I got a chance. And so the day I got out of the hospital, they said, you got a test in 3 days, because by this time they had Paul and Granny and Jethro already picked. And so I started talk. Well, coming from Baton Rouge, everybody talks just about like that. And they said, cut, you don't talk no fast now, that half hour, won't anybody get on that camera but you.
Douglas was chosen from roughly 500 candidates to play Elly May Clampett on the new CBS sitcom The Beverly Hillbillies. Creator Paul Henning wanted her badly enough that when she suffered a severe whiplash injury in a rear-end collision just before production was to begin, he delayed filming rather than recast the part. It was a sign of things to come. The show was an immediate phenomenon. It ranked number 1 in its first 2 seasons and drew as many as 60 million viewers each week. Elly May was a physically capable, animal-loving country girl who consistently outfoxed the polished city types around her, and Douglas played the role with complete ease. She said she never needed direction on how the character would behave because she already knew her from the inside. Over the show's 9-year run, Douglas estimated she worked with more than 500 animals on set. During the 1966 summer hiatus, she co-starred with Elvis Presley in the film Frankie and Johnny, the most prominent movie role of her career outside the series. The film performed well, but did not meaningfully change her standing as a film actress. She remained proud of the show throughout her life. Quote, Elly May was like a slice out of my life, she said in a 2003 interview, noting that people's love for the character had always opened doors for her. Legal battles. Douglas was not someone who let perceived wrongs slide quietly, and 2 major lawsuits from her later years reflect that clearly. In 1993, she and a business partner filed a $200 million lawsuit against Disney, Whoopi Goldberg, and Bette Midler, among others, claiming the 1992 comedy Sister Act had been plagiarized from a book she had optioned called A Nun in the Closet. She alleged that a screenplay developed from the book had been submitted to the defendants multiple times in the late 80s, and that more than 100 similarities existed between her work and the finished film. It was a bold claim with enormous stakes attached. The judge ruled in favor of Disney and other defendants. Before the verdict, Douglas and her partner had already turned down a $1 million settlement offer. Her partner later acknowledged that prevailing would have required the defendants to have copied her work nearly verbatim, which was a standard they simply could not meet. In 2011, Douglas filed a federal lawsuit against Mattel and CBS Consumer Products, alleging they had used her name and likeness without authorization to sell a Barbie doll modeled on Elly May Clampett. Mattel and CBS maintained that the network's ownership of the character meant no approval from Douglas was required. The lawsuit settled by the end of the year under confidential terms, with both sides publicly stating they were content with the outcome. A life beyond the show.
Right now, she says her primary occupation is playing the part of Elly May at events all over the country.
I guess the 2 questions I'm asked the most, if I really like animals, or if I really like critters. And I think they're like kids. Young people, they know if you really love them or not. And then the other question is if I can really whistle.
Well, y'all be sure and come back now, you hear?
After the Beverly Hillbillies ended in 1971, Douglas built a second chapter that had little to do with Hollywood in the conventional sense. She got her real estate license, recorded gospel albums beginning in 1982, and became a sought-after inspirational speaker at churches, youth groups, and charitable events across the country. In 1982, she enrolled at Rhema Bible Training Center in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, graduating 2 years later with a focus in children's ministry. She wrote children's books, including Donna's Critters and Kids and Miss Donna's Mulberry Acres Farm, and published a cookbook in 2013 called Southern Favorites with a Taste of Hollywood, gathering recipes from celebrity friends like Phyllis Diller, Valerie Harper, and Debbie Reynolds. She was known for spending hours personally answering fan mail and appeared regularly at conventions celebrating the show. Her friendship with Buddy Ebsen lasted more than 3 decades after the series ended. She described him as very much like her own father, quiet and caring. She and Max Baer Jr. visited Ebsen in the hospital the night before he died in 2003, and both delivered eulogies at his funeral. She was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in August 2014 and died January 1st, 2015 at Baton Rouge General Hospital at age 82. Her family remembered her as always happy, always made up, and never looking her age. With her passing, Max Baer Jr. became the last surviving star of the original Beverly Hillbillies cast. Now it's time to hear from you. Donna Douglas lived a full and layered life that extended well beyond Elly May Clampett. Which part of her story surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments section below.